evening. Welcome to the Newfane Selectboard
Maples up and down the street.
special meeting. It is January 2nd. Happy New Year, everyone. We have Mike Fitzpatrick, Jeff Chevalier, Katie Johnson-Aplin, myself, Angela Litchfield, all here, and Anne is not able to be with us tonight. Has this meeting been properly warned?
Yes.
Are there any additions or amendments to the agenda? Hearing none, we'll just keep moving right along to the approval of the December 18th regular meeting minutes. Is there a motion? Thank you, Mike. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Katie. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstentions? Ayes have it. Good evening, Jay. Welcome. I know you have had a long December mud season. Thank you and the guys for all of your hard work, as always. You guys go above and beyond to make sure our roads are maintained, and we appreciate that. But it's time for your report.
We're supposed to be plowing snow, not doing mud in December.
Yeah.
So I heard back from the trucking company. I filled you in on all of this, but this is the public version of it. I heard back from the trucking company that damaged Adams Hill Bridge. The representative for the trucking company felt we would hear from the insurance company adjusters this week or the beginning of next week. He did put in for the whole 100,000. So I'll see what it's like once the adjusters get a hold of it. It appears, I just looked at the portal again this morning. It appears like the Deeper Road box culvert is on track for this spring or next spring, whatever you want to call it. I've been in contact with Bill Jewell and Ron Bell trying to get the new site plans for the gravel pit so RSG can redo the sound study. And apparently it was kind of stalled with Ron. He got the information and then didn't know what to do with it, so he just didn't do anything. So hopefully that's moving forward at this point. The flooding damage from the rainstorm a couple of weeks ago caused a moderate amount of damage, and we repaired most of the damage from that storm. Everett from Hammond Engineering is doing contract, which he did. We have the contract for Loop Road box culvert construction, and I attached it to you or to your report. And I believe, yeah, he sent the update to Mike also. And I have a meeting with our NRCS tomorrow morning to look at the logs behind Williamsville Village, which seems like a number of them disappeared with the flood, so it's a smaller pile now.
Cool.
And I did let Nancy Reese know that I was going to be meeting over there because she had said she wanted to speak with the person when they came down. So.
Great. Is there a motion to approve the road foreman and commissioner?
Make a motion.
Thank you. Second?
A second.
Great. And discussion. All right. I think we're all on the same page for number one. Number two, this is the agreement. Do we have to do anything, or is it just for our perusal?
Just for you to read through. He's, hopeful that the soil testing or whatever will enable us to not use that sheeting and save us the additional money.
Okay.
The agreement's for number 5.
What's that?
That's for number 5, right?
Yes.
Yeah. It's because she says about number 2.
Oh, I'm confusing myself. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm just putting everything all into one.
Look at now. It's all box covers.
Great. Hopefully we can stay on track with Bill Jewell and Ron Bell and get that moving faster. Seems to be dragging. That would be hopeful.
Nice.
I would like to add something to your report. I was approached by a member of the town about a culvert in front of their house on South Worsboro Road, that it doesn't seem that it's placed correctly and that it might cause some damage in the long run.
Where, do you know what the address is?
I don't have the address. It's the lake property. James Lake mentioned it to me. Lake Beatty.
We that's where we had him put it. It's exactly the same spot as it's been for years.
All right, well, there was a concern that it wasn't placed correctly, that it could create more damage if we have more big storms.
I'll look again before it gets snowed on, but no, as far as last time I looked at it, I thought it looked good.
Okay, great. If you just check on it and check in with him, that'd be amazing.
Okay.
Anything further from anyone else they want to talk about with Jay?
No.
We did have a access permit too for backside of Newfane Hill. Do you have that there?
We do.
Okay, that's the one that's stapled.
Mm-hmm.
So applicant Giro Dolphus, Mantel and Morse Builders. Property owners Neil Brander and Christine Hobby. 353 Newfane Hill Road, residential. All right, any discussion?
Is it for driveway access permit, so they need a culvert and a whatever?
Says, Newfane Hill Road, Otis Lane, Upper Spring Hill Road, it's for, actually, it doesn't say too much on here.
It's to construct a new access.
A new driveway?
Mm-hmm.
And you've been up and looked at it and everything looks good to you?
Yeah, Chris and I both looked at it. It doesn't appear that it needs a culvert. They are willing to put a culvert across the road before it, if that'll help with some of our other water for the town. So I'm working with the other property owner to see if they're willing to do that. And but otherwise, as far as the driveway concerned, we don't need to have a culvert across it. It's right on the flat down at the bottom.
Okay. I make a motion to sign it.
Second? Any further discussion?
Nope.
Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. And I'll sign it after the meeting that it is approved tonight. Great, anything else for Jay in the road foreman and commissioner's report? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstention, ayes have it. Again, thank you for you and your crew for all your hard work. You go above and beyond, and we really appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay. Good evening, Juanetta. It is time for the administrative assistance report.
Good evening. I've been making progress on the town report. The committee reports are due. I still need the following 2 reports, one from the Planning Commission and one from the Road Commissioner. Animal Control Officer Ashley Pinger is scheduling 6 rabies clinics at the Williamsville Hall starting on Monday, January 8th from 9 to 10 a.m. And then every other Monday. The last one will be on March 18th.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody that's involved in the animal control program, Dummerston, Putney, Westminster, she's scheduling for those areas as well. So she's got 3 calendar months that she's booked.
Great.
We are out of the free COVID-19 tests here at the town office. I am aware that you can go online to the Vermont Department of Health and order 4 free tests to be sent to your home. I've attached the recent STARS report to this report per Angela's request. And January 29th at 5 p.m. is the deadline for filing your election petition with the town clerk. So anybody that's running for an office needs to have their petition submitted by 5 p.m. on Monday, January 29th.
Good to know. Is there a motion to approve the administrative assistance report?
Motion to approve it.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstentions, ayes have it. Thank you, Juanetta, for all your hard work. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Wow, we're moving right along. We have the hazard mitigation plan. I know Anne wanted time to read it. She did send me an email. Let me just check it real quick. Her notes were that she noted a few small items that should be updated in the report by the WRC, mostly related to the fact that we have now approved the river corridor and floodplain bylaw revision. There's also a few recommendations that are listed in the report to be addressed by the select board, and perhaps at a future meeting we can add these to the agenda and review on how and if we want to proceed with those. And then she goes in with updates. I know Margot sent me an email asking about the status of us signing it. How do we feel? Has everybody had a chance to read it? And we can do these updates. Would you like me to go through the ones that she's talking about? And then make a decision on whether to sign it tonight or not? Things that should be updated, page 6, Tim Schaefer is no longer the health officer.
Page 6.
I'll send this to you soon. Page 42, the report says the town is working on incorporating these new standards into the bylaws. She thinks they're referring to the river corridor and floodplain bylaw revision. The paragraph should be updated to note that it has been approved by the select board, and I'll forward this to Margot as well. Page 45, one of the recommendations states the town of Newfane should adopt and administer river corridor protection standards as part of its flood hazard area regulations. This should be updated since the bylaw was approved. Page 46 mentions the need to purchase a generator for town offices. This has been ordered and paid for by ARPA funds. Page 50, the recommendation reads purchase generator for town offices and town garage, already completed. 54 and 57, the report should note that the river corridor and floodplain bylaw have been adopted. And there's some action items that we can address when Ann is back. But I can go ahead and work with Margot and update those and get that all set. Do we want to do that and then sign it?
I would think so, yeah.
Yeah, I think we should have it updated before we sign it. Just
Okay, I will reach out to Margot tomorrow and get that all worked out.
excellent.
And then maybe Thursday at our budget meeting, we might be able to sign it if she can get us a completed report by then. Because I know they're really anxious about getting it signed, and that helps us too with our grants and everything.
Yep. Okay.
Angela, the one thing, the generator was at the town garage and at the EOC, which is the fire station, but not at the town office.
I'm sorry, the last part?
The generator, we don't have one for the office. It's at the town garage and at the EOC, which is at the firehouse.
And my garage.
Yep.
All right, I will call Margot tomorrow and talk to her and get these all updated. Do you know of anything else, Jay, or do you think?
No, I think it's one of those things, you finish it and then a year or two later, you're already started on the next revision of it.
Right.
And it takes 2 years, it seems like, to pull it off. So I think it's just a constant work that'll be, just keep being updated.
Right, maybe just have to do amendments from here on out. Okay, so we will talk about that on Thursday, if you could add that, or we can
make an
amendment to the agenda on Thursday. Okay. We are moving right along very rapidly, and we can always come back to Steve Levine.
Yeah.
And then our scheduled members of the public. Is everyone okay if we just bounce around?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we have no unscheduled members of the public. Well, I see Lindsey's on. Oh. Hi, Henriette. Good evening. We do have 2 folks for our scheduled members of the public that are here, if they'd like to go. And we can start with Lindsey Bertram, who's here for the NewBrook PTO. Good evening, Lindsey. Glad to have you.
Hi, guys. Let me see if my video works. It may be too much.
Oh, you're so festive. Hello.
We'll see if my internet likes this. How are you guys? Thank you.
Good. How are you doing?
Good.
Good, thanks. So I guess you just want to hear a little bit about the PTO and what we're about and what the appropriations request is about?
Yes.
So I'm assuming you have a good idea, but the NewBrook PTO basically is a parent-teacher organization. that we do lots of fundraising, and our goal is to have lots of community interactions at the school. So we do lots of the fun extra stuff for kids, like field trips and classroom enrichment funds. And we have a big focus on trying to bring the community into the school as much as possible, whether that means families or the community at large. And yeah, so anyway, the appropriations request is mostly to help ease the burden of fundraising and hopefully make our job all the more fun in organizing all of the fun things for the kids and families and the community at large around the NewBrook Elementary School. I believe in the letter we sent you, we broke down how many actual Newfane families there are, because obviously we serve families that are not Newfane residents. And we don't discriminate in our funding of things, right? We just give money to individual classrooms and to specials teachers, and everybody's included. So that's something to keep in mind. But obviously our neighbors are a big part of our community as well. So that's the gist of it, I guess. If you have questions, I'd love to answer them, but I feel like you all probably have a good idea of what we're about.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Any questions?
Nope.
Nope.
All right, well, if you come up with any, feel free to let us know.
We will. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for presenting.
You're welcome. Thank you, guys.
Happy New Year.
Here.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. And I'd like to welcome Henriette Mantel, who's here for the Newfane Cemetery Association.
Yes.
Good evening. Glad to have you.
Thank you very much. I'm here to represent the Newfane Cemetery Association, which I don't want to brag, but I have been elected president. And I have a problem with the Civil War soldiers' graves that are falling down the hill onto the road up on Cemetery Hill. And pretty soon the World War I guys are gonna, or I think anyway, their names are all on the statues on the common. And your great-great-grandfather's there, by the way, according to your Uncle Robert.
Yes.
So anyway, we're looking for money to like get cement and gravel and fix all the gravestones, and I mean, it's kind of really sad that, I mean, really the walls are falling, the retaining walls are falling down.
Mm-hmm.
And the last time they were fixed was Charlie Marchant said they were fixed in 1974 by my dad and Roy Brooks and him. And so that's the last time really anything's been done there. And also, we also have the flea market wood lawn, right? Cemetery.
Yep.
But I'm focusing on the Newfane one first because that's the one that's fallen down the hill.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
So we would like some money to help us fix it.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. And
Welcome.
we will put this in the
Does it
As an
get
appro-
voted on by who?
town.
By the town.
Oh, okay.
It's an article. We do them all by an article.
So rumor has it that if I asked for $4.99, it wouldn't have to be an article. Is that true?
All of the appropriations right now are scheduled to be articles.
Oh, okay.
How much? How much?
That person was from Brookline. So
How much did it, you said, Henriette?
The request is for
How
500.
much?
500. Well, I mean, I've got a list of volunteers, which all of you are welcome to be on.
Isn't there money for cemeteries in town anyways?
I think you do have.
Well, the town owns the one on Newfane Hill. They own a bunch of them.
Right.
They don't own, the one that I'm talking, the two, they don't own them. It's all
Cemetery
private.
and lawn. Those are
And,
private.
yeah. So I'm just trying to fix it.
Yeah.
And it would be helpful
Well,
if
if
we
you
had
need
it.
help, let me know.
I'd love to have any of your names that would like to volunteer this summer when we're having a gravestone. We're gonna fix all the gravestones. Charlie Marchant's gonna be the boss, I hope.
You know how to find me.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And along the road right here, because the road's got a lot lower than it used to be right here, right?
That's for
I
sure.
mean, maybe that's what we gotta look at as a town, is to build the road back up so it's I mean, it's quite a step up on that first step nowadays.
It's really a big deal, and it's also, the road's a mess.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll look at that a little bit, try to bring that up to where it was, so it doesn't.
What would it like, Jay, for another conversation about Cemetery Hill
I'll
Road?
go look at it.
Let's get our gravel pit run out.
Yeah, right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Henriette, always a pleasure.
Yes, it is always a pleasure to be in the room that I went to 7th and 8th grade.
Good night, Henriette.
Right.
And we'll continue bouncing around as people file in because we're ahead of schedule. So I'd like to welcome the Williamsville Hall Committee. Good evening.
Thank you.
We
Nice
will
to be
hear
here.
your report.
I don't know how many of you know Kate Conway? Who's
Hi,
our
Kate.
esteemed Conway, secretary. And
Welcome.
Does a wonderful job with the breakfast and many, many other things.
Many.
Yeah, so I'm happy she's here.
You always have a good crew, Steve.
Oh, thank you.
Big crew, I'm with this one every year.
Yeah, there's another one.
Many hats.
So we have like a two-part presentation. One is to talk about the improvements, repairs that have been done. Nice to see you guys. Especially you.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so that when Jan Lewandowski came, he came and did an assessment of the building through Vermont Preservation Trust. And there were 4 areas that he picked out that we needed to make improvements on. One was the chimney, and I'll start with that because that project has actually been completed, which is wonderful. We got Dan Newcomb, a mason, and after he looked at things and talked to me about it, he said, "Why are you going to repoint this chimney? Because you don't use it." And that's true. It hasn't been used for probably 40 years. I vaguely remember the old potbelly stove down near the dining room, but that's long gone. She said he would advise, instead of fixing it, to take it down, because in 20 years, 25 years, it will need to be repointed. So that's what we did. We took it down below the roof, and he capped it, and then he repaired the slate, so you would not know that there was a chimney there. And then all the debris that was in that chimney, which was just buckets of stuff, it was thoroughly clean. And then because all that material was in there, it collected moisture and it caused the plaster on the outside to fail. So after that was taken out, we repaired the plaster and then it was painted, so it looks nice now, and that job is complete.
Excellent. Wonderful.
Right. The second big thing was the roof over the stairway that went from the fire door in the kitchen down to the ground. And we did get someone, Randy Clark came, and he put up a roof because there was damage being done to the side of the building because of the rain getting caught between the stairs and the building. So the roof was on, we did a nice job of that, but we still need to have some clapboards repaired along that side and replace the sill at the kitchen door. So that's, about 80%, 90% done.
Work in progress.
Yeah, it's a work in progress, but we are making progress. The next thing is, hard to keep track of that. Is that all down here somewhere?
How are your lights working out?
Oh, I couldn't get to that. That's
Oh,
so-
sorry. Jumping the gun.
That's just a wonderful thing. Well, actually, Eli Phoenix was going to do the roof inspection because Jan Lewandowski, he inspected the roof from the ground with binoculars. He went up in the attic and looked for leaks. He didn't find anything. So his feeling was there was nothing obvious that needed to be repaired, but the fact that the slate been up there for over 110 years, he would feel better if someone went over it very carefully. Eli was going to do that starting in the spring, but for various reasons that never happened. He was sick, his crew got sick. He's called me in the last couple of weeks and said that actually this week he plans to come down there and with a drone go over the roof and see if there's anything that needs immediate attention, which is
Nice.
most unlikely. And then he'll come back in the spring when the ground is solid and can bring in a lift and do a thorough job. So that's the third part. The fourth part are the posts in the cellar, which are sitting, some are sitting in dirt, some are like on stone. It's a mess, needs to be repaired. I have not had any luck. I've had many people who came and looked at it, made recommendations, gave prices, but no one ever came back. So but the settling that has happened isn't going to get any worse. If you ever notice when you walk in, the floor kind of slopes towards the doors. That's why.
Yeah.
And we decided when it gets repaired not to lift the building back up, because that's just crazy. Do more damage than it's necessary. It's not like it's awful. So that we're still working on that project. Getting somebody. If you have any recommendations, give me a call. So those are the 4 areas that needed to be addressed.
Wonderful. Thank you for taking care of them.
Oh, you're welcome. And then there's all, oh yes, sorry. Yeah, the thing came. Right, so mold mitigation. So we did have someone, Tom from J&K Associates. They're sort of a statewide group. They do a lot of work for the state in hospitals and prisons, and municipal buildings. They found 3 areas of mold. One was the stairs from the lobby. There was mold in there. The kitchen ceiling had some mold, but the major infestation was in the back staircase, on that fire stairway. So we've mitigated the mold on the stairway and in the kitchen ceiling. They were thoroughly cleaned and bleached out, and then they were sealed with kills, and then we painted them. So those 2 areas are taken care of.
Great.
But we still need to work on the back stairs, although they were thoroughly cleaned as well. And I don't know, you have to be like a Superman or something to smell anything in there. It's just really nice and clean. But, there's carpet that are on the stairs and down on the landing, which is concrete, stairs are wood. So we probably, to be super safe, is to remove the carpet from that last flight of stairs and on the concrete and decide whether to replace it or not. And probably put in a dehumidifier, because it really does get damp. I went down the other day with some electricians, I'll tell you that story, and just putting your hand on the metal rail, you can just feel the moisture, so we need to get rid of the moisture.
Yeah.
So that's another work in progress. But then, out of the 3 areas, 2 have been, I think, sufficiently taken care of. And so that whole stairway has been painted, the lobby has been painted, the ceiling in the kitchen has been painted, and the big thing, of course, is the lighting, which we thank you again for supporting us. So that stage lighting is now totally installed and operational.
Excellent.
And it's really pretty cool. It's all controlled from the balcony. There's a control board, and you could, of course, you could dim the lights, but you could change the color of the lights. It's pretty amazing. And while that was going on, the whole committee decided we had used these really high-quality speakers, and we mounted them in the front of the hall up near the ceiling.
Nice.
And they're wired into the balcony as well.
Excellent.
And we also mounted our LCD projector on the ceiling, on the bars that the lighting hangs from. So it's like, going into a theater now. There's no projector down on the cart with the wires running around. So it's all operation from there. We showed one movie with the new setup. It sounds
Excellent.
great and looks good.
Can't wait to get over and check it out.
Yeah, please
You
do.
may need to bring a bunch.
Well, we have to, that's part of another improvement that we made. Just today, the electricians came, and we now have 2 Nest thermostats, those Wi-Fi thermostats.
Yep.
We have one down in the dining hall, and we have one upstairs. So now, this is gonna save money, seriously. because the thermostats were donated to us. And the ARPA funds are paying for the installation. But we can now, instead of, Kate and I were talking about it on the way over, like the heat upstairs takes 24 hours. But downstairs, you could heat it in 12 hours or less. So now I have it set, this is the first time I'm doing this. I have, because there's gonna be a Tai Chi class downstairs at 1 o'clock, so I have it set to go on at 6 a.m. And because that room heats up pretty quickly. Otherwise, we would have had to turn it on tonight, which would go all night for no reason. So hopefully it's gonna work out fine. Plus I don't have to run down there all the time. To turn the heat on and to turn the heat off.
That's nice and convenient.
Yeah, because sometimes people forget to shut the heat off, which is also a waste. What else is on here? I think that's about all the improvements. Oh, yes, a future project. Well, that's going to be part of.
Okay.
That's going to be part of the budget. We just started, we're going to put crown molding up upstairs. I don't know if you ever noticed how it looks pretty messy because there's no molding between the ceiling and the wall. So we just purchased the molding. We'll get it painted someday when we find a carpenter. We'll have it put up, and I think it'll make a big improvement. And we'll do some touch-up painting on the ceiling and the wall, where there was water damage a few years ago. Which has been repaired.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah. So that's all going on. I think that takes care of all the building changes and improvements. And then there's the budget. So, you want to talk about that?
Sure.
Okay. So, capital. Or organizing. Oh, here it is. So, right now there's $47,590.73 in the capital fund. That's with this year's, appropriation. The roof inspection, the estimate from Eli Phoenix was approximately $4,500 because she had to rent a lift for a day or two and have a couple guys up there. The cellar post, the few estimates that I got were approximately $3,000.
And that's for what?
The posts in the cellar that
Okay.
need to have their footings improved. That's $7,500, which would leave us $40,090.73. So it's my feeling at this moment, the next big thing we need to do at the hall, and it's not anything that needs to be done immediately, is a paint job. But that's a few years down the road. Actually, Randy Clark, among things that he did, he was doing things he wasn't asked to do, and he didn't do a few things he was asked to do. But overall, it was an improvement. Because he did paint the front of the building. And it looks great. We had the sign repainted, and it looks pretty nice. He painted, he repaired the walls inside the lift, in the shaft, and painted that. So those are some of his extras.
Great.
Yeah, so I don't think at this moment we need any capital funds, which makes you happy. But I would, yeah. And then I went over the other expenses. Kate was right on time. I didn't have time to talk.
I'm usually late.
No, you're not. Organizing my thoughts here, but up here. So the Hall of Security. So looking at the Williamsville Hall budget items, I think, and seeing how much was used so far this year, I think the electrical appropriation, $1,200 is just fine. And heat, we will probably need more heat because the building will be used on every Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday. There's going to be 2 Tai Chi classes. Wednesday will be the advanced class, and Thursday will be a beginner's class. And then on Saturday, the hall will be used for Qigong lessons class. Everyone know about it? I'm not sure what it is, but it's kind of like a combination of Tai Chi and Judo, and that's going to be going on. So that'll be, through the winter, some extra heat. But Jane Douglas did get $1,000 through the select board to go towards the heat. So I think last year it was $2,500. So I think if we stay with the $2,500 and added the $1,000 from the ARPA funds, it will cover the heat. Then there's the ground. That's, every once in a while Mark Grace shows up and mows the lawn. And there's more than enough money in there. And then I think the one place we can use more funds is in the Williamsville Hall expense fund, rather. Because like we're gonna like to do the crown molding and some other things might come up. And that money needs to come from all expenses, not capital. So I would recommend we take the tens of thousands of dollars that are saved in capital appropriation and add $2,000 to the hall expense fund. And that'll cover some miscellaneous expenses we'd like to do. Some of those expenses we cover from the Williamsville Hall fund, but we have spent a good deal of what we have. And we can only make so much money by giving away free movies and breakfast. But we do have some money. We have about $1,000 balance at this point after buying the speakers and some of the equipment for putting in the sound system and stuff. So that's basically what I have to say.
I should have asked you about the cleaner.
Oh, right, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, the cleaner, that comes from the expense fund. The town pays $75, we pay the extra, which is also $75. And the Wi-Fi and the phone comes out of that fund. So, it does get used. And as I say, with some of the, small improvements, we could use some more money in that fund.
Do you have a copy of that request that you can pass along to Lonetta? We have a budget meeting on Thursday, so we can discuss it further.
Okay. Yeah, I could just give you
That makes sense to everyone.
the worksheet from last year and make changes
Perfect.
for the new year. Okay.
We will add it to our discussion on Thursday.
Very good. So besides that, any other questions?
I don't have any.
Good luck with it.
I've
I'm
been
glad to see it being used.
Yeah, I'd like to come check out the new sound system.
Oh, yeah.
Curious what you
field
installed.
trip.
Yeah, it's like Beautification. We got the lights on the ceiling, we got speakers hanging.
That sound system, is that something they can tap into when they do the town meetings, or?
Not sure yet. Bauman's working on
Yeah, there should be a snake that runs from the stage to the to the loft if that's what they're gonna do.
It's probably.
Or I guess they can
They're
probably
ranked
run,
already, yeah.
they can probably run Cat 6 these
Yeah.
days.
that.
Get out
Red
there.
lights, green lights.
And get the lights flashing and keep it going.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And we're having town meeting in Williamsville, right?
We had town meeting in Williamsville last
No,
fall.
we're
For a
keeping
new thing
it
this
home.
year.
We have to wait another little, unless you want to change your mind. It's a much nicer place.
Did you have a question?
I've been having a musing, and I was wondering if you had thought about having the porch light on a regular basis instead of just when the building's in use, because it really makes a big difference. I drive through in the evening frequently after dark, and it is so dark coming past the Williamsville store and the firehouse are lit up, and then it's black. And when that light's on, it's like, oh, I'm continuing to be in the village, and I'm not out of the village yet.
Yeah. Well, it's a motion sensor light. We could just
It is.
flip it up and it'll light when it gets dark. Just leave it that way.
Would that be? How much would that change your electric budget? Yeah, I don't know.
That put something to see, like do it for a month and see what the difference is.
Oh, yeah, I like that. I don't think it could be much, it's a couple of 100-watt bulbs, and it'll only be at night.
Right.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great idea. And it won't increase the electric budget either.
Well, I mean,
Well, we're gonna
thank you.
increase it, but it should cover that. It's not a big deal. A couple of nights. Anything else?
Any other questions for the hall committee?
Comments?
Well, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you and your committee and all of your hard work. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Excellent. Glad to have you.
It's a good crew, and this guy's joined us as well.
Yes, we're particularly fond of Austin
Yes.
as well.
Yes.
We're glad he's part of our community now. Well, if there's nothing else, thank you so much.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
And we will discuss it further on Thursday. If we have any questions,
Okay,
we'll reach
yeah.
out.
I'll get that.
You can send it to me.
Yeah. And I do have something to give you. This is remote. Just throw it in the-
Yeah, throw it in the door.
Should I stay or move?
If you want.
No.
Okay.
We'll stay if you'd like,
Yeah,
or
I'll
not. We're always happy to have you.
Handle it without you.
Okay, well, we're gonna go back to scheduled members of the public. We're kind of bouncing around as people come in, because we're very speedy at the beginning of our agenda. And I'd like to welcome Joan Weir from the Williamsville School Preservation. Good evening.
Hi.
Glad to have you. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think as you all know, there's a 3-member board that oversees the ownership and maintenance of the Williamsville schoolhouse in Williamsville, and Steve serves as our treasurer on that board, and I've served as president for a long time, and you've never asked, why is it always the same board members? And I thought I would just answer that for you, because I think as you get familiar with a building, the idiosyncrasies of an old building, it's hard to imagine that there could be other people. I mean, people could step in and take over. They certainly could, but it seems as though the 3 of us, Jeff Miller is the 3rd, have really got a system down to kind of oversee, the building and its needs. So we continue on, and each year we request $1,000 from the Selectboard to help us in general overall maintenance of the building. And our biggest expense, as we see it, is usually saving up for painting the building. And so we always feel as though that's where the money is headed. We don't paint every year, but we save towards that goal. Sure. And I think I also mentioned that we have some tree pruning and maintenance that we also expect to take care of this year as well. So anyway, happy to answer any questions, but school is in good order, and our tenants are the Timson Hill Preschool, and they seem solid, and we haven't heard anything otherwise in terms of their future, but we have a good working relationship with them as well.
And they're next.
And they're next.
Wonderful.
And you can come to some numbers.
They are, yes.
You may have read in the paper.
We'll let them cover that.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any questions for Joan? No?
So,
Thank you so much. We appreciate you being here and presenting.
Oh, you're welcome.
And with that, we'll go right into the Timson Hill Preschool. Good evening, Kristina. Glad to have you.
Angela. Hi. I'm currently the director of Timson Hill. I've been the director. This is my 3rd year. And so we are a small preschool. We can hold up to 15 kids at a time. We have enrolled, in total, we have about 20 kids currently there, but it fluctuates day to day. We do have, we had 11 last month children from NewBrook or from Newfane. This week we have 2 new kids that are starting that just turned 3 last month, so they're starting up. So we've just increased that number. And we do take a few after-school kids whose parents need after-school care, and it just doesn't, it fits easier into their schedule to come to Timson Hill. So, yeah.
Requesting 1,000.
Yes. That's what we've requested every year.
Yeah.
Any questions for Kristina?
No,
Or questions about Timson Hill?
I think that's reasonable,
Yeah.
more than reasonable.
Quite.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for being here and presenting. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye. Have a good night.
Good night, dear.
Okay, we have one more. It's good to see you all. Thank you for being here.
Sure.
We have one more appropriation, but he's not here yet. Like I said, we are way ahead of schedule. So if we want to jump into our old business, Ann's not here, so we don't have any updates on 3 and 4. Do we have an update on town beautification? Or are we going to just discuss that on Thursday?
We can discuss that on Thursday.
Okay.
See you later.
Thanks, Joan.
Hi.
Hi, Gordon.
Hello.
Good evening. We are way ahead of schedule.
Well, am I too late?
No, we haven't gotten there yet. We're kind of bouncing around. Do you have any update on the personnel policy changes?
I
Still
do not.
waiting? Okay, so we're waiting for Michael and Dave. Any old business or new business or?
What about the reviews? Are they all done?
Mine are all done. I just have to type up the form. And yours are done and they will get the form for signature on Thursday. Okay.
Great.
How
about your letter?
Can you shoot him a text?
Any correspondence?
Yes.
Correspondence. Good thinking. To the dear members of the select board, this is from the Historical Society of Windham County. Dear members of the board, when we met last year to discuss possible ARPA funding to assist us in renovating and restoring the 1825 jail building in the Newfane National Historic District, you are able to designate $10,000 of the requested $20,000 for that project. You also suggested meeting again at this point to determine whether additional funding might be available from that source. We used your initial grant to begin the necessary demolition work and are pleased to tell you that this project now has made substantial progress, although it is still far from complete. To date, we have raised cash contributions, grants, pledges, and in-kind contributions amounting to some $75,000 out of our estimated overall needs of $160,000. Apart from the cost of also eventually installing the lift. We now are requesting your assistance with a further grant of $10,000, which would bring us up to meeting our initial request for $20,000 for a project which will so greatly benefit both the town of Newfane and its many visitors. With your help, we are then looking forward to being able to open this new museum in 2024 as we enter our 98th year of serving this community. I also hope you will get in touch with me at phone number and arrange a good time for you to pay a visit and see the work in progress. Sincerely, Richard Merrick, President. So we will put this aside when we're all available to talk about the ARPA funds. This isn't a new letter, is it? Why? This is the old one. That I've already done.
Yeah.
Okay, this one's being already been read. Okay, so.
I was just calling to see if you were going to log into Zoom tonight for your appropriation.
Anything else anybody would like to
Okay.
talk about?
What time was he supposed to be here
Yeah.
about that? I don't know.
Well, Netta said Michael was supposed to be here at 7,
I will let them know.
but no,
Okay.
find out
Feel
what
better.
Mr. Lucido says.
David's not able to join us.
Okay. He will be continued. I guess I can start with the higher ground because I'm not sure where we can go this evening because all of the information that has been passed along from several parties, which is Gordon Bristol, a budding landowner. Thank you for being here and for your emails. And also Michael Mayer has sent out, and it's all been forwarded to the board. I took it as I was contacting Bob Fisher from our last meeting about the role of the town and the abutting landowners. And I took all of this information and I have forwarded it to Bob Fisher and invited him to a select board meeting so he can present for the town as to what we need to do, because that makes the most sense. I don't know, I mean, that's how I feel personally. How does the board feel?
Well, I don't feel any different than I have since the beginning. I mean, I don't see anything where it's came through Act 250. I mean, you can put all the stamps you want on it from an engineer, but any engineer could do anything to it, he's gonna put the seal on it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean it's been approved through the state and whoever else, and like I said, there's a process through Act 250, when you do all this, when you do amendments and all that, it's gotta go through the board. And then that's anybody that's got anything to do with that Act 250, which is the budding landowners and everything like that, they're all notified that they okay it or whatever, they have to go through the whole lot, or they can work it out, or, and I haven't seen where it's been done. And like I said, the last meeting, he kept going on about us approving the driveway, Jay, he wanted Jay to, the two things, and we yanked the driveway permit. That's all we could do because it wasn't approved by the state. He changed his plans.
Right.
Until that's all approved and abutted, and like I said, John, I didn't see what John Walker had been notified or any of them, so. Until that's all goes through the right stages. I mean, we know look what we're doing right now with our own pit, We have to go through it.
Yeah, we can't go forward until everything's approved.
If that was the case, we'd have, what's his name, the engineer, Ron, stamp it, maybe we're all set,
We're more than 2 years into it ourselves.
Yeah.
As a municipality.
Well, that's what he said, he changed his, one got an engineer to put a different stamp. When I talked to Ron, the day after we had the first meeting here with him, Ron said, all you gotta do is follow that plan. Till then, it can't be changed.
I feel like I don't have the legal knowledge well enough to be able to address this, so I think deferring to our town lawyer is the right course of action.
Oh, it is. I already talked to him too, because like I said, I had a thing, the other day I just talked to him personally, because I was just asking about things, but I know I've been to that Act 250 a lot, and you don't change it unless you go through the whole process again.
And it's not just that we have an access permit for the town, we have Act 250 that he has to follow, and he also has environmental court rules he has to follow.
Yeah.
So it's not just one thing. So I've, like I said, have sent everything to Bob Fisher and have invited him to a select board meeting to address it with everybody that's a party to it, that they can ask questions and he can represent the town as our legal.
Do you have any dates in mind for that?
I invited him to tonight's meeting, but he's unavailable. Hopefully the next one, which would be January 15th. But that I see is Martin Luther King Day. Are we going to have a meeting on that day, or are we going to?
Is it a?
It's a federal holiday.
That's a federal holiday. Then I guess we have to.
Shall we meet on the 16th, which is a Tuesday?
I'd be fine with that.
I'll second the motion.
So we'll do a select board on the 16th, and I will email Bob tomorrow and ask if he can be there.
Yeah, I was going to call Stephanie today. I just want a little more clarification what this means. It says if the modifications are not a material change, then no, the application cannot be reopened. She has not deemed that the modifications are a material change. What exactly does that mean? Does that mean that
Maybe Stephanie could be available to come to
Yeah,
the
I
meeting
think
as well.
that would be great if we could reach out and have her as well, because it's not an incredibly clear email, but it does kind of seem like he hasn't modified anything to the point where he needs to reopen his Act 250 permit. But I'd like more.
Well, for
I
one,
can help you with that in a generic way.
All right.
I'm prejudiced, obviously, so I'll tell you how it works. So when a person comes in with a new piece of information, this gentleman over here, under this particular situation that you're in, there's besides Act 250, there's the court order in it. What it says is it goes back to Act 250, and Stephanie then can say, I look at this from this gentleman, and it's fine. And if that's the case, she'll write what's called a jurisdictional opinion, JO. You'll probably get some of those in Europe. And that you bring in here to you and you say, she said there's not a material change here. Here's the jurisdictional opinion. Or she looks at it and says, you know, this is a substantial change, or whatever the wording you would, and we want to have a hearing. Using this gentleman's case as a generic, they'll probably say it's close enough, but the fact that it hasn't happened yet is the dilemma you're in. It needs to go to her desk where she then says, hearing, or I'll issue a jurisdictional opinion. And that is, if that's what Stephanie's call would say to you, and that would be no matter what the case was that we brought before.
Well, yeah, I just want to know which way it is.
Yeah. And then she'll be very clear, either we go back to hearings or no, it's a jurisdictional opinion. And I say it's okay. You still have got a long list, which is why you want your attorney to come in. I don't want to take more of your time. I'm talking in generic. What you're looking for is, she looks at it, hearing, or it's okay, and I send you the letter on a nice stationery.
Yeah.
yeah. No, like I said, the last one, he kept talking about was that engineer stand, which I don't think that don't mean nothing to us in the Act 250. It's just its process.
Good evening, Michael.
I think it has to go with everything.
We started the conversation. I had sent all of the information that we received for the board between all of the parties that have been emailing, and I forwarded all of that to Bob Fisher, and it started our town attorney, and it started with the town's role with the Act 250 and the abutting neighbors, and with all of the other emails that have come in. I've sent all the information to him, and we've invited him to come to a select board meeting, so it can all be addressed with him as far as our town lawyer, so that we make sure everything is going the way it's supposed to go. But that's what we're talking about. And then Jeff just made a comment that he's looking for clarification on.
Yeah, Stephanie's email.
So that's
it's
what we're
not a
just
very
talking
clear
about.
email. To me, it doesn't say enough for me to have an opinion either way. I need more information than that. I think that's what we need, and we also need our lawyer.
So that's where we're at. Is waiting to get Bob in here so we can all sit down and have this talk together with him.
Next meeting, you said.
Our next meeting will be January 16th, a Tuesday, as Monday is a federal holiday, so it'll be Tuesday the 16th at 6 p.m. In which we're hoping that he will be here, and I will find out as soon as possible. He wasn't able to be here this evening. And we'll let everybody know if he is able to be here or not.
Okay.
But,
May I respond?
yes.
I was in touch with Stephanie and Chris Kinnick, asking them as closely as I could remember from my notes the last meeting, what it was the select board was looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And it was in response to that, Jeff, that that she wrote the letter that she did. And the issue is really about the nature of the modifications. If the modifications are deemed to be significant enough, then that keeps the process open. If they're deemed not significant, then the process is required to be closed, and that's what she says. So I think, well, to me it's clear, but
And with the interaction I've had, would it be useful to talk about that now, or do you just want to wait till Bob shows up?
Yes, I
Yeah,
think that's the
that's
best interest of the board is to have our attorney come and talk about it and answer any questions that anybody that's involved in this has, so that we are
Covered.
yes. Thank you.
And you saw that I got the engineer's stamp. He said, well, of
I
course.
did see that. I sent all of that along to him so that he can review everything and
And all of that was okay with that 250 as well. I mean, for them, the stamp wasn't significant. It was just, anyway, you have all that, so.
yeah.
Try
And
it.
I sent everything that I have received regarding all of this to him, and I'm going to reach out to him tomorrow and talk about coming for the 16th.
Is there anything else that I can be useful for at Lindsey?
I would recommend that with any materials coming to the next meeting on Tuesday, the 16th, that we receive that by the prior Friday, so that it can be dispersed to all of us with our minutes.
Yeah, the date stamp on Stephanie's email was
Today.
3:29 this afternoon.
I see that. I see that.
Because
And
of the
that
holiday, so I turned it around in half an hour to this thing.
thank you.
If I could make that a little shorter, so that for Bob to be able to review, if it could be the Thursday before.
Longer?
Yeah, just because the attorney will need time. Any additional materials coming through should be like the Thursday before, so that our attorney has time to look at it.
Absolutely reasonable.
That'd be great.
And I will, whenever I have something, I'll just send it to you.
That's
And I was
perfect.
actually holding the new, the stamp survey, because I wanted to do it together in one mailing, but by 2 o'clock it hadn't come. Well, it came an hour later, so that's why you got 2 emails.
Yeah, that'd be great, and then we can address this and get all the questions and everything talked about at that meeting.
Thank you.
Okay?
I guess I got a question though, could I?
Yes.
I mean, I don't want to drag this thing on forever, because I think we've been talking about it long enough, but I mean, you talk about the, like I said, I don't really care about the stamp survey. It's all right, this engineer did something like that, but did they do like a hydraulic studies and all that kind of stuff for the water? The problem is, like I keep telling you before, you had an approved plan, and now they've changed it so it goes over on the neighbor's property and all this other kind of stuff. You know, I keep hearing that, you know, Stephanie this or the engineer this, but I haven't heard a word from, you know, which Gordon's part of the Act 250 or John Walker, that they've been notified of the changes and they're all set with it. But like I said, the other plan was all approved by them guys, everybody approved it, and then it went away from that. First thing they did, they changed the code, you know, which you didn't need. And that's what I told you that day, I just had to be up there and you were there. And Gordon showed up that night. And so like I told you then, it was like when I talked to Ron that morning, and Ron says, go back to the plan, which would have been taking the culvert out, following the plan the way it was designed. And yeah, I mean, I know you gotta have the engineer, they stamp it when they get this drawings done, and then you turn it into the Act 250 and all that kind of stuff, but I just don't see where the Act 250 yet has notified the abutting landowners and all that of the changes. So until that happens, you know, I can't, you know, it's, like I said, I've gone through this enough, and you know, Gordon has a bunch of people. We're going through it now with the gravel banks for the town, and we have this certain guidelines you have to follow. You know, if that was the case of having the engineer do it, we'd have Ron stamped our thing. We've been in here screening gravel right now in the town pit.
Well, the Act 250 coordinator is very clear about the rule, and she's a real stickler for the rules, believe me, for years.
Right, but there's a change to the plan. There's a change to the plan, so that's an amendment.
Well,
and that goes back to the whole board again, you know, and it goes back to the board, they look at the plan and they see the amendment and they make sure all party status has got a copy of that and everybody is on the same page. Right now, I don't see that.
And what she said very directly, I mean, my question to her was, quote, does Act 250 require that the public hearing process be reopened if a neighbor does not approve the amended plan accepted by Act 250? So I think that characterizes what the question was 2 weeks ago. And her response to that was, if the modifications are not a material change, then no, the application process cannot be reopened. I haven't deemed the modifications to be a material change. So she's quite clear about that, I think. And you said it goes over into a neighbor's property. There's nothing going over into a neighbor's property. I mean,
Well, he says it does. It's affecting his property until, like I said, that's all something like your engineer should be talking to the guys, showing that if it doesn't go there, let's see it, you know?
you can go there when we have 2 inches of rain and see if there's anything
I
happening.
don't wanna go there. I'm not the one, I'm just
So
saying.
anybody can say whatever they want, however, that doesn't prove it to be the case. And Act 250 has determined that it's not a material change. And it was the
Well, it's a
contractor.
material change because you added a culvert to it. And that's material. I mean, you changed the whole thing, you changed the water course. You changed everything down through there. You even put an under drain, if I remember you telling us about that, down along that one side.
We can keep talking about it.
I know, that's what I say, this is just nonsense, we're going back to the same old thing.
I think the arbiter in this is Act 250, and they are really sticklers for the rules. And that's why it was important to get an opinion from them as to where this goes. They observed, based on the engineer's report, that it was the correct thing to do, given site conditions. Again, the correct thing would have been to have, during flood conditions, to have stopped work, get them on the phone and say, can we do this? They would have said yes. The fact is, Woody said, we better do this, otherwise the road's gonna get washed out. And I think people appreciate that the road did not get washed out. And so that was his decision to take that route. I wasn't on site when that second culvert actually was done, but I think it was a good decision, and everybody who has looked at it from Act 250 and from an engineering standpoint said it was the right decision. And the email chain documents that they said, based on what we've heard from the engineer, who's a certified engineer, this was the solid way to go.
And Madam Chair, if I could have one thing on the record, then one sentence.
Yes, one sentence.
For the record, I'm just reminding the select board that this particular project has an Act 250, but it also is working underneath a court order.
Yes.
Of which the town, myself, and the applicant have signed off to. And one of the judgments that is in that court order signed by Judge Durkin is that any change, a comma, anything, it has to go back to Act 250 for at least at a minimum, 2 things occurred. They either A, say there's no change to it, and they put that in a jurisdictional opinion, or B, they say there is a change to it and there'll be another hearing. What she issued you today, it can be an opinion, but it is not a jurisdictional opinion, and it's not applicable to the very lawsuit to which you signed off to. And I'm sort of upset that the board continues to only get partial information.
So with all of this information and what's been discussed, are we in agreement to continue this on the 16th with our town attorney?
Yeah.
I think that's best.
The most appropriate.
For our knowledge, yes.
Just in response to what Mr. Bristol just said, Act 250 has all the information, they've always had all the information, and they scrutinized it. The stipulation agreement, which was a several-page document, was what Gordon signed off on. And it seemed like everybody agreed to what that was. And Act 250 believes that everything that has happened in relation to the stipulation agreement, yes, there was a change, yes, the change happened without prior approval, but the actual change that was done constituted a, quote, modification, modest modification and not a major one.
You don't know the law, and we don't need to belabor this meeting. You're not quoting them appropriately.
They are not a material change. It is quoting them, exactly.
I'm ready to shut up.
Gentlemen, we're going to continue this on January 16th when we have our town attorney. I don't think if we keep discussing and going around and around, we're going to get anywhere this evening, so we will wait till.
Certainly not going
Thank you.
We will wait till we have our town attorney at the next meeting, and I will find out as soon as possible if he can be here or not. And I will let Juanetta reach out to everybody and let you all know. But I think that's where we're at tonight with this particular subject. If everyone's all right with that, we will move on. I see we have another member of the public that has come in to speak.
Yeah.
So we will, good evening, Mr. Morris.
I'm sorry.
Good evening.
Good evening. Happy New Year, everyone.
You as well. Would you like to speak?
I'll start off with complaining. I'm just curious what the select board has done in the concern of my regards of the letter that I wrote you a while back for the woodshed over on the Dover Road.
Yes, that is still in the works. We are.
I can't hear it very well.
That is still in the works. We are working on that one. We've had a lot of projects going on, and that is one of the ones on the list.
Yeah, you sent me a letter in regards that you gave it in the hands of the zoning administrator.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a complaint about him. He's not doing his job.
Okay.
If he's not checking, we had John Feifel, if anybody remembers, he was right on it. He was checking on the permits and what was going on in town. But the zoning administrator isn't doing his job. And as I mentioned, one of the development review board members drives by that woodshed, I would assume, quite often. And he was in this meeting when you were here alone, Ms. Litchfield, that when he blatantly lied about a permit that I had pending at the time.
Okay.
And that should be looked into.
Yes, it's on our list of lots of things that we're working on at the moment.
What we give him a note to look into that this week.
Yeah.
And the one he's already given on, right?
Yep.
We're gonna look into it this week.
Yeah. Well,
I will call him tomorrow and get him to start looking into all of that. And
well, I don't know if the zoning administrator is the right person to do it. I mean, he's part of the culprit. He's not doing his job. He, according to your letter, he passed it on saying that the DRB made the choice. I've written chair of the DRB, haven't heard anything from them or him, and I don't know how far up the ladder I am as far as this concern is, but I started back when you had the pornography show there back in August. I left in disgust, but
okay.
I haven't heard a word otherwise. But if we're gonna have zoning, it ought to be distributed equally, and it's kind of, if we are expected to respect it, should be enforced.
Right.
You had to get rid of the damn thing.
Okay.
Take a vote on that right now if you want. Thank you
The
for
town
hearing me.
decision.
I'd like some answers.
If it's all right with the board, if I call and chat with Merle and David Cotton
Yeah,
about all of these
absolutely.
concerns.
Yeah.
And then we'll be in touch.
It's been going on for a while, so.
There's many other violations that I'm aware of, and I don't like pointing my finger at anybody, because then you got three pointing right back at me, but I'm as clear as you can be. And I just think something ought to be done.
I will give them a call this week and I will report back.
Much love and Happy New Year to all of you.
You too. Thank you for being here.
See you in church.
Which one?
Closest one to you.
How are you doing?
All right. That is all we have on the agenda this evening. Are we ready to do pay orders?
Yeah.
I think so.
All right. Thank you everyone for being here and Happy New Year. Oh, did you have something?
No, this was gonna be discussed at the budget meeting.
Yes, when
Okay.
Anna is with us.
Okay. I missed it.
Thank you so much. Stay safe and Happy New Year.